Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. This week in the news, contract talk in the Lazy River, blood and guts, and in Vader Club. Chris wants to watch some Kanyon from 1998. This is Shake Them Ropes. I am Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Novembrino. Happy 35th anniversary to my favorite pay-per-view of all time, the Great American Bash, 1989. Probably got to watch it this weekend. How you doing, Chris?
Uh, I'm all right, Jeff. How about yourself, buddy?
We have nothing to
Uh,
discuss. Yeah, let's get into it.
what you got in the news here, Jeff?
I don't have a lot. That's why I'm laughing and chuckling but I'll throw you some bones here for some analysis on things because there's a lot of it's mostly speculative. The news this week. It's about, contracts are coming up and where are they going to go and who knows what's going to happen here. Not a lot of hard stuff. But earlier today, about an hour and a half ago, Mako Satomura announced her last match was going to be in spring 2025. Announced during a house show or a press conference for the house show where WWE is currently in Japan. She was an 8-woman tag with Bayley, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair. For the love of God, give her a main roster push if she's retiring in less than a year. Let her make the main roster money. Mako Satomura is awesome. And I believe, I'm not sure about this, Chris, because my sense of history is off. She might be the last remaining full-time performer who's appeared on a Nitro. I know Hoovy's out there doing spots. But I think Mako Satomura may be the last person who is currently considered a full-time employee who has appeared on a Nitro. Do I have that right?
What about Chris Jericho?
Oh, that's true. Never mind. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, is Chris Jericho full-time after that match? We'll talk about that in the Lazy River, although I did adore that match in many ways. Yeah, I like Mako. I wish they'd put her in charge of training. They haven't yet. They continue to want to use her for Japanese outreach. I think that's fine, but I think it's a waste. I think she'd make a great trainer instead of all the gymnastics we're seeing in NXT. I have nothing else to say, but I'd really like to see a few dream matches out of her. I'd like to see a Bayley match. I'd love for them to let her go to AEW maybe after her contract expires, because that is Mercedes Monet's dream match as well. She wants to face Mako. A Becky Lynch match I wouldn't mind. A Natty match I wouldn't mind. There's a lot of good people that Mako Satomura could do matches with. And I think they just trot her out as kind of the ceremonial, quote-unquote, old person.
I'd like to see Mako go up against Shayna Baszler. That'd be a fun match.
Yeah, no, that'd be great too. Yeah, no, there's, heck, EO. An EO match, Kyrie match, and just tons of it. But yeah.
It'd be fun to actually have her be the champion going into Mania and just be sort of on a streak. Have her show up, have her do a brief streak, have her lose at Mania to whoever you want to put the belt on.
Jade Cargill. That's who they crown. That's who they give her the belt to lose to, is Jade Cargill. Because, I mean, and I'm serious about that. You think I'm cracking wise, but it's like, nope, veteran presence, doesn't need the win at Mania. Let's belt Jade against Mako.
Yeah.
It'd be a fascinating match. Triple H and Tony Khan in London talking about bringing Mania to the third world there at the UK. Interesting, because of course All In is coming up, and these super shows that WWE's been running in like Vegas has hurt AEW's numbers in Vegas, and now they're coming to the great beyond where AEW was hot at one time. A WrestleMania in London, 2 days. What do you think?
I think it would do huge numbers.
Yes.
I mean, if you think it's not going to be white hot, it's going to be white hot. It'll be.
Oh, that is a travel show for Europe, and the NXT show there would be white hot too. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, just an absolutely white hot opportunity for WWE, and AEW would have to just glom on and show up at WrestleMania weekend and be, the second fiddle here. Tony Khan would have to just suck it up and, try to run whatever he could.
MVP and Tamina were removed from the internal WWE rosters this week. I believe WWE is just going to let their contracts expire. Also in the rumor mill Bobby Lashley's deal is close to being up, and the rumor is MVP and Bobby Lashley are looking to reform the Hurt Business somewhere else. Sorry, that's my phone.
Shelton Benjamin has said in the past that he doesn't understand why the Hurt Business was broken up. He felt like he's never gotten a straight answer as to why the Hurt Business was broken up. He's been pretty open about it in interviews, and more recently too. So
There has been an interesting talk, and this is where I was going to throw you a bit of a softball about Triple H's relationship, let's put it this way, with wrestlers of the African American descent. Because I remember when in reading in the trades that he refused to work with D'Lo Brown when D'Lo Brown was at his hottest, being the Eurocontinental champion, holding both the Intercontinental and European belts. And he was going to drop both those for a world title run, and Triple H said he wasn't big enough. There's, of course, the entire build for the Booker T WrestleMania match, and, of course, the way that that match ended. There have been comments about The Rock here and there that some have viewed as problematic.
I mean, I think the DX Nation parody is reflective of where Triple H's mindset began and had to evolve from, thinking that that was a good call, going out on national TV in blackface. He was only a few years removed from that when he did the Booker T thing. So if we're looking at what the evolution is, and evolution is a mystery, Jeff, but it starts at a certain point and then moves somewhere else.
I want to step in, but I mean, he has pushed wrestlers of African American heritage. I mean, the Hurt Business stuff was Vince. And
right. And Shelton Benjamin has said as much, too.
Yes.
He didn't get a straight answer from Vince. And it's one of the first times he felt like Vince wasn't shooting straight with him.
Yeah. And to me, I'm of the, then you look at, what he's doing with guys like the Street Profits, who should have been pushed to the moon ages ago and haven't been. And you wonder, I'm not going to say anything outright that's going to get me in trouble with anybody. But you wonder sometimes. But I mean, he did well by Keith Lee. He did well by Carmelo Hayes. There are guys. It's just one of those things where I think the Hurt Business sticks out so hugely because it was obvious that you could have done a Black Horseman thing in WWE, and you could have done the Black Excellence stable in there, and they're all wearing suits, and they're all successful African-American businessmen who just use wrestling as a means to an end, and they're all rich and wealthy because they're all title holders, etc., 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 and they just didn't want to do it. They wanted to always do the internal fighting amongst them. They always wanted to have Lashley be the star and have him take out Cedric and Shelton all the time. And it was repeated ad nauseum, and then they'd get back together, and then they'd run the same stupid angle over and over again, and they never let the Hurt Business get to where it's going because they just meddled with it so much.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a stable that has potential. It would be interesting for AEW to potentially pick that up. That would be a nice get for them if they want to sort of reset the world title picture, to have Swerve Strickland up against a Black Excellence stable. That would actually be kind of cool. Like, you have Swerve against like the Black Horseman.
I think you'd get pushback from that though, because that's a WWE move, the race war stuff type of thing. You might get pushback.
It's not really
I get it.
a race war.
But yeah, I get it. But I also
like two white guys isn't a race war.
I just no, that's true. I also just don't think AEW would have any interest in it. I really don't. I think they are TNA bound, if anything, because of the prior relationship there. I think Tony wants to keep his work rate company for the sickos pure. And I think he's really going to stop signing a lot of WWE guys that aren't getting, I'm not going to say not getting star ratings, because that would be far too cynical and far too trolly to say, but guys who are not going to put on the type of match that AEW fans, he thinks, want. How about that?
Yeah, he has a certain mindset for what he wants the show to be, and it
Yes.
wouldn't include guys like Elias slash Ezekiel, even though Elias and Ezekiel ended up being a very, very entertaining act and clearly has more mileage in. There is a wrestling universe where you could absolutely do something with that guy and the faces of Elias.
He's working indies now. I believe he and a big one. I mean, I think he just did GCW or something like that. He
Good for
pops up
him.
from time to time. I mean, it's yeah. I think he's talented, but yeah, is he the best wrestler in the world? No, but I
No,
don't think you have to be.
oh, but he figured out characters,
Yes,
like the Elias, the Ezekiel, and there was the nerdy one that we never really got to see come to pass. Like there's a lot of
the family
potential.
photo that was there. I mean, that was good too. I mean,
Uh,
we were expecting a Survivor Series team with them or three faces of Elias in the Rumble. There were things that they could have done. It would have been
yeah,
fun.
I think
Um,
so.
and in other speculative yet interesting news, Brian Danielson talking with Renee Paquette on the YouTube version of her podcast, I believe, says that his deal is up on August 1st. Now, here's where people get over their skis. I don't think he's going anywhere, but it would be interesting if he did. It would be very interesting if he just goes, I'm kind of done with my thing here. I'm going to retire in WWE. But he won't. He's going to retire as an AEW talent. He's going to do All In. There's definitely a
It would be
handshake deal.
so funny though if WWE came in and made a F off offer just to force Tony Khan's hand to lose Danielson in the middle of this storyline.
We will
And
make
that
your
is something
wife very, very rich. Okay.
yeah, we can have something for Bree to do. Huh.
Yes. Would Brie like a seat on the board of directors? Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there is a way to get him back, and like people love the yes chants. The yes chants are still over in WWE, and he he's doing his little dream matches here in AEW, but they're not. They're for him.
Yes.
If you as a fan enjoy it, you as a fan enjoy it, but these are like for him.
He's the
And
arena rocker who was the lead singer of a great band who is now just doing the small college town tours.
with his blues band, right? Like that, yeah,
Not even that, the acoustic sets. Just
yes.
him and a guitar.
Well, no, I think
And
it's
he
like
refuses
a
to play
bit
the
of a
hits.
genre change. Yeah, right.
Okay.
It refuses to play the hits. The genre has gotten mellower. He went from doing hard rock stuff to now it's just like a blues band, and he only plays blues standards like one bourbon, one scotch, one beer, and you know that he actually has originals, but you're getting like that and Boogie Woogie Woman, these sorts of things.
Play your hit. No, not doing that anymore. That's only with the band.
Here's taking care
This
of
is my
business by
solo
Bachman
stuff.
Turner
Oh,
Overdrive.
how dare you? I love that song. Don't disgrace Bachman Turner Overdrive on this podcast. I'm a boomer rock guy. Come on. Kansas, you can degrade. You know, the Eagles, you can degrade any day of the week if you'd like. Stop playing
Yeah,
the
I'm
Eagles,
gonna
man.
do real quickly, guys. Before I get into my next original, I'm gonna play an acoustic version of "Take It Easy" by the Eagles. I've always found this song to be an easy breezy number that reminds me to relax as you go down that road of life. Here it is, "Take It Easy" by the Eagles.
He became a light rock DJ at the same time. Okay. Oh, that'll do it for the news. If you want numbers, look, Raw was up from what it was against the Home Run Derby. AEW, I think they did like 763, I think was the number. NXT was low. It was like 683. They're no longer head to head. Just somewhat interesting. And SmackDown numbers was back up too. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm kind of liking the TNA crossover, but maybe it's turning some people off of NXT. Who knows?
It's not the TNA crossover in and of itself. It's just that NXT is a stupid show right now.
Gallus every week. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Joe Coffey's doing a terrible character very well right now. He's
Yes,
very funny as this character. Like, I love him having conniption fits. They're hilarious. He's
I
very good
hate
at it.
you, internet fans.
But just like random things triggering him.
Yes,
And I do like the fact that, yes, he hates the internet fans and like he complains about it, but he is actually the person who gets triggered in the most clear definition of the word. Like random things, like the mention of Joe Hendry gets him to be triggered beyond belief. And I enjoy a Joe Coffey conniption fit, but that's not like very entertaining. I don't find fledgling mafia no quarter catch crew to be remotely interesting or entertaining. This is a joke that somebody writing the show thinks is funny and just keeps getting driven
you know
into
who
the
thinks
ground.
this is funny and thinks this is good is William Regal. I guarantee you, oh, this is giving my son some personality. Much
Yeah.
like me when I was cross-dressing on the main roster. Yeah, this is the start of the lazy river of wrestling criticism. Whatever we saw this week, whatever we had time for, out of the vast numbers of American wrestling shows that are currently on television. And I unfortunately have to come in here and give a negative note to one of my favorite performers, Chris, because I watched SmackDown after we recorded last week. That Bailey promo was terrible. The one where she says that she's big and clumsy and she's kind of breaking the fourth wall to give a little hat
Yes.
tip, etc.
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I loathe this, not only because I didn't like, I'm sure Lena Fanene can take it by now and she has very acute mental toughness on such things. I think it's even worse because I don't think people want to see Bailey be a mean girl. Like even when she's a heel, she's kind of a goofball, uh, like laughing, cackling real loud, and that kind of. She's not really a serious, angry heel. And here she is as a baby face, basically telling someone that they suck as a wrestler. And I don't think people want to see that out of Bailey. I think people just want to see Bailey as a confident champion at this point, even though they've never really changed her character from when she went from Damage Control in any way. But your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I did see this promo. Similar reaction that while it was going in on Naya in a reality based way, the question has to always be asked whenever you're doing anything: why? What for? To what end? What purpose does going after Naya for this serve? All right, we've been building her up again as a powerhouse and we've been giving her a monster push. So to say that all of the demonstrations of monster strength or whatever are actually clumsy attempts to do other things that are just resulting in people being injured, is that really helping Bailey seem like a strong champion going into this match, or does it help Nia seem like a formidable heel going into this match? And the answer is no, it doesn't do either of those two things. So then why do it? Well, what is the point? Nia is not an amazing wrestler, but those who know, know. Those who don't know, hopefully won't have to find out when the match occurs.
If this were Vince, it would feel like a shot that he put into a script, as a thing, and maybe he doesn't give her the heads up that this line is in the promo, type of a thing. I was really turned off by it. I don't know. It really made me angry in some ways. I was just like, I know, don't do this to Bailey because all that stuff is going to be on her then if people react negatively to it. My only other SmackDown note was that Carmelo Hayes Andrade match, secret banger.
Oh yeah, that was an
Whew,
excellent. You told me to go and watch that match. I did watch that match. That match was excellent. That was such a good match. And
motivated Andrade is fantastic. He really is. It's just I know he's collecting a check because his wife is there, but man, and
when he's in there with
Carmelo,
a good dance partner, and I kind of had that same energy towards the Braun Breaker Ilya Dragunov match
yes,
on Raw.
yes,
Same energy, just this is work rate WWE, and I gotta tell you, work rate WWE is pretty damn entertaining when you have Ilya Dragunov taking a superplex off of the column and then folding and crumbling into the ground. Just like, geez, Louise,
when
innovative offense.
when they decide to give that kid a win streak, and I think it's going to happen after like Sammy gets put onto a different show because it's the same gimmick, pretty much. And we'll probably have to deal with some really bad Ilya characterization stuff. Like Sammy saved his in the bloodline. It was unrepentantly stupid, but it was fun. They're gonna do something with Ilya. Maybe put him in Imperium. I don't know. Maybe put him in some stable you'd never expect him in, and we're just going why? Like Ilya in the Judgment Day or something.
Ilya joins the Wyatts.
The Wyatt Six. Oh God. But once they decide, okay, we're going full on shine with the kid, and we're just gonna keep giving him wins until he gets a big one. That dude's gonna be monster over because he dies every match, and it's so fun to watch. Your turn, sir.
Kicking it back to NXT, similar theme to your Bailey and Nia promo. I thought Thea Hale's promo did nothing for her. She is trying to. Her character is just a mess when she
Yes.
tries to blend it in with reality.
Yes.
And the problem with the one note, hyperbolic, super anxious, over the top thing, it's got to be countervailed by a strong personality the other way. Maybe someone who's timid, someone who is scared, someone who's really vulnerable. And this was weirdly confident. And she keeps saying that she's got these big wins, and she doesn't. She has she's got a couple little like nice moments, but they're not like what you would vibe on as big wins.
Why are we bailing from the bit when she gets a title shot? Why not have her come out and just be the hyperactive, I want a title shot because I really want to win. I'm going to do this, whatever. As opposed to this, we're kind of similar. We've been here for a while. We're both
Right.
short. It's like, no, let her do what brought her to the dance.
I just want her to scream at Roxanne. Roxanne starts doing her little patronizing sort of gimmick where she, tell you your dreams and blah, blah, blah. And it just makes Thea Hale insanely angry.
And drop an F-bomb.
Dropping F-bombs and like chasing after Roxanne. And Roxanne's legitimately terrified of Thea Hale going into this match. And Thea Hale is just like a singular psycho killer with a little bit of a comedy twinge going into this match. Like Chase U is trying to calm her down, and she just wants to kill Roxanne.
You know who doesn't need exposition is Thea Hale. She doesn't need the exposition. She's a time bomb that Chase U is trying to control.
And that's the Chekhov's gun to this match already, right? You already have established what is her fatal flaw as the potential winner here. Her fatal flaw is going to be the thing that brings her to the dance, which is her explosiveness. So the first 3/4 of the match, she is absolutely going into explosive mode all over Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez can't contain it. And then Roxanne Perez takes advantage of Thea Hale overexerting herself. She explodes. She's not thinking about anything. She's not being calculated. She's running on pure emotion.
Yes.
She does that. It falls apart. Perez hits the finish. I mean, this should be like an 80-20 match. It doesn't have to even be a long one. This whole I'm a dreamer and I got a dream sort of crap, it just doesn't work with Thea Hale. We haven't earned it. She's not good at playing that, and it sits in weird tension with the character that we get in the ring.
Right, and then she can morph into something else like she did with JC Jane during that angle when she loses, and we can figure something out and give her a new character type of sheen on it. And if the new character sheen doesn't work, you go back to the time bomb. This isn't hard with her. She's great at what she does. Let her be great at what she does. I love the 6-man, and I'm not into that kind of match usually, but these 6 were great. And Javon teaming with Axiom and Nathan Frazier, and then having dance partners in the Rascals. And I like that. I like that Zach Wentz got the pin. Good for him. I think he was he got fired for something stupid, but I think you should have a chance to make up for it. And it was nice that he got the win on the visual pinfall on TV. Um, no, I really this was a party match. This would have fit in on any of your critical darling TV shows. I thought it was a great match.
Oro Mensa, terrible challenger for Ethan Page.
Oh,
This is a
Jesus.
stupid angle. The only thing that is funny is Ethan Page referencing Drill subtly by saying, "This doesn't bother me."
I'm not a corn cob.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, and that seems to be his catchphrase now too, because he's now said it like 2 different weeks. This doesn't bother me at all. Okay, Ethan Page is great. Oro Mensa, this is no one gives him a chance to win. So why is he getting beat up? That kind of thing. It's like it's so weird this build because everybody's already dismissed this.
right.
You have to figure out a way to get us to buy in, and they haven't figured
He's
it out
never
yet.
had a big win ever before, and so it doesn't matter how many of these like stupid shadow pins you give him on All Ego Ethan Page. Even even if you got me to believe that he could pin Ethan Page, I don't believe he can pin anyone else who's in the title line.
Yeah, I just
That's the big problem with Oro Mensa. There's no intrigue to this match. Mensa's fine, but like he lacks the charisma that you'd need to really tell any other story. So they're really crutching on this shadow pinfall thing. I think the whole thing's lame, and it's made for a pretty lame NXT. Lola Vice settling in nicely as a babyface, just kind of like finding her stride as a babyface, likable character. And outside of that, I don't know that Ashanti the Adonis and Trick Williams does anything for me at all.
no, and it's a shame because both Ashante and Cedric deserve better. I think.
Oh, Cedric doing that weird mentor gimmick thing was really stupid.
Yeah,
I hated
I
that opening segment.
it's like they're being punished for Swerve leaving and for AJ Francis being a dope. And they continue to be. It's like, well, they're small. Again, WWE will always be the land of giants. And so, I mean, so if you can have fun watching the little guys do it on NXT, great. But it's like one of those things where it's like, I understand why they don't bring Roxanne Perez up. I hate it, but she's tiny. So is Thea Hale. I don't, and they're both exemplary. But I mean, it's not like the women on the main roster are giants either. But they're tall. I mean, except for Zelina. But you don't want a roster full of Zelinas. So yeah.
Last note on NXT:
Go for it.
Briggs and Jensen just murdered each other for a nothing match here.
Yes. Okay, I saw a part of this too, because Brooks
Dude,
Jensen
the
interests me.
level of welts that these guys have on at the end of this match is completely not commensurate with the level of seriousness or importance of this match at all. This is the first note of a story. It's not even the blow off of a feud.
Speaking of which, this makes for a great transition into AEW Dynamite and into the Blood and Guts match. My favorites. I love the War Games. I didn't like a lot about this, and it just. I. Where do I start? Let's start with the big picture. That Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts was also that Darby Allin could get a mid-card title match, and then spoiler alert for Rampage, a half hour later he gets a world title shot by winning a battle royal. What? What are we doing? I'll get to things I liked on AEW in a bit, but allow me to list off the things that just irked me about this. Number one, we don't need the baby faces are arguing with each other promo before the War Games. I get that we're bookending it with the eventual the Elite is having problems because Hangman and Okada can't get along, but we don't need the bookmarks. We're trying to root for these guys. We don't need them bickering about their own self-interest. Now, don't get me wrong, Mark Briscoe saved this, and it was great, but I watched this and go, you five are about to go into a death struggle, and you're bickering about what it's all about. having this esoteric moment of weirdness and doubt and oh, Swerve's taking too much credit or whatever. No, just be united. That's the other thing I'd like to see eventually added back. Let the teams go down as teams and stand there by the cage and enter and root and see the carnage is up. But that's beside the point. The
What
coin
are the
toss.
stakes of this match? Like,
Huh? There
what's
weren't
the
any.
stakes of the?
There weren't any.
Okay, this is just if Team AEW wins, then that proves something.
Yeah, because we're not getting rid of the scourge of the elite in any way. They're not
Right,
required to break up.
right.
But to that point, we do this dumb coin toss segment with a double-sided coin.
Yeah.
It's not necessary. You want to know why? Because during the War Games match, they're threatening to fire Hangman if he doesn't get into the ring. All they have to do is beat up Chris Daniels and say, "We have the advantage." That's it. They don't need to do the funny stuff. They just need to say, "We have the advantage because we're the EVPs." Problem solved. The match itself, just the structure is okay, guys. It's a War Games. I get that we're bringing the plunder in and stuff, but boy, on this match, it looked like when they were producing this, they were trying to think, okay, how can we get as far away from the structure of War Games as possible? We start with a 5-minute walk and brawl outside of the arena before we even get into the cage. We're bringing in handcuffs like it's Smoky Mountain Wrestling's version of War Games. We have cutters to get out of the cage so everybody can then just go climb and go all over the place. Again, much like a dog collar match, the structure's enough. The stipulation's enough. And then, look, it got good in the middle there when it became kind of an FMW weird hardcore. When Anthony Bones gets in there and just becomes uber aggressively violent, I liked it. When it's just Mark Briscoe and Darby cleaning house in there, I loved it. And then it got to Darby Allin's going to commit homicide in the middle of a War Games. He takes it. Everybody thought that flamethrower was coming out. It just turned out to be gasoline. And then it's like the Eddie Kingston moment in that first Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede where he's threatening to burn somebody alive. It's too much. A babyface should not be trying to murder somebody else when it's just a wrestling match. I'm sorry. It's just, it made me hate Darby Allin. It really did. It's kind of like, you're going to burn a guy alive in the middle of a match? Chris, your thoughts on this whole Blood and Guts debacle? Because overall, I liked the work. I just hated a lot about it.
That's kind of how I felt too. You said a lot of the things that I thought about.
I'm sorry.
No apology needed. I've gotten a lot of my stuff in here too, so I don't feel like I'm getting stepped on with this. I don't like cage matches where we're not in the cage.
Yes.
It bothers me. I find it really irksome, and I know that makes me old school or whatever, but the on top of the cage spots have all been explored at this point. There's nothing more to do. Like it's all variations of Mick Foley's signature spots, and if you're not doing those, then it's just guys fighting on the top of the cage, which, don't get me wrong, is spectacle, but it's really dangerous spectacle with no clear service to the match unless you're going to do the pinfall on the top of the cage, which also is like womp womp to me. I want the match happening in the cage, and more importantly, too, especially with a match like this, the story matters, right? Like War Games is supposed to be the climax of a feud. You need to make sure if you're gonna have dissension between two members of the babyface team that you want to pursue after this feud is over, you set the seeds there. But you want this to feel climactic, and for me, this just felt like a match that we're having because it's blood and guts rather than the climax of a story.
Yeah. There's just so much that didn't make sense. Okada was in there to do virtually nothing, which I loved. I kind of loved that a little bit. I think the biggest bump he took was when the staple didn't hit his finger. I just yeah, I didn't understand the Bucks yelling at Hangman to get in the cage when he was literally giving them an advantage that was going to last throughout if they had timed it correctly. I mean, in terms of the in-world story type of thing, I've complained about this enough. Let me get to things I liked in AEW. I'm just going to run them down, and you can choose what we explore there. I liked the MJF promo a lot. It was so it got ridiculous, and then it got more ridiculous with the flag and the faces of the stars. Is that I loved the Jeff Jarrett interaction with Bryan Danielson in that promo. They babied him in Nashville. Good for them. About time, because I think this is kind of his last run anyways. I think it might be setting up a Jeff Jarrett Danielson match eventually down the road, but don't quote me on that. But I liked that they looked at Danielson and goes, "You gotta take this more seriously." And Danielson said, "Whatever." I love that Camille is Mercedes heavy. I'm a fan of this dynamic.
I liked it too.
I have a question though, and this is something that came up in my show last night. Is Camille better off with Mercedes or with Mariah in these gimmicks? Because I could make a case for either.
I can make a case for either. It would be funny if Mariah got snookered by her own heavy. That essentially, like Mariah, yeah, that would be actually like a fun, twist or whatever. But I think I like Camille eventually turning on Mercedes.
Yeah, and I like her having I like the Shawn Michaels Diesel aspect of it. I've always liked a smaller, cocky, shoot at the mouth person and having a heavy to back it up. I like that as a dynamic. I'd love this as a tag team as well. And I liked Camille in our when we watched NWA.
Yeah.
Is she the best wrestler in the world? No, but neither was Sid, and I loved Sid. She's a female Sid. I'm here for it.
Presence matters, and she's got presence.
Yes, and this may shock you, Chris. At least for a while, I enjoyed that Minoru Suzuki Chris Jericho match for the absolute balls on these people to just say, we're going to go in there and just do one move, and that's it, and we're going to play it over and over and over again. It's the one-note symphony. And I never wanted them to stop because it got so stupid at one point that I'm like, I hope they don't bail on this and do a match. I just want to see them chop each other for like 30 minutes. And then somebody like hits a low blow and gets a pin. But yeah, I'm watching this. I'm going, this is dumb. And then I started to go, nah, this is great. And then I loved it even more as it went on. How did you feel about this match? Because it's very polarizing to some people.
Yeah, you can't say Minoru Suzuki has no sense of humor. He definitely has a sense of humor. It's just, does that translate into a quality match? This was entertaining in the sense that I've always wondered what it would be like if I could see something that happened in a video game that I have against my friend where I'm just hitting him with the chop.
Come on, defend yourself. Defend yourself. Defend yourself.
Chop. Yeah. He can't get the guard up fast enough, so I just keep hitting him with a quick chop over and over and over again, moving him around the corner, chop. Yeah, that was interesting to see executed in real life. I don't know that that's what I needed out of this match. I don't know what I need out of a Chris Jericho match, though, at this point. So
I don't.
I don't know that I need a Chris Jericho match.
True. I think I might have liked it better if they weren't standing there and being brave, and Chris was kind of trying to do the Flair fleeing Steamboat when he realizes the chops hurt back. Kind of a thing where Minoru kind of has to stalk him the entire time, and there's a little more action in there as opposed to just kind of doing the fighting spirit bravery thing. But I'm not a fan of fighting spirit either. So
I'm not either. But now you do get to another level of humor for this, where like the heel is trying to do chop for chop with the baby face and keeps powdering to the outside and like trying to emotionally rally themselves to give themselves fighting spirit, and like coming back into the ring and like knuckling. Like I could see John Tatum doing this sort of spot. He's outside the ring. He's got the
yes. Tatum would be perfect for this, and I could see Jericho doing a Tatum, like taking a powder, doing the old Arn Anderson timeout sign, trying to get into character. hey, I worked Japan before. I know how to do this. I can do this. And going back and just getting obliterated again.
It-
Yeah,
Falling down, trying to stand up and act like he didn't just fall down.
yeah. We're making it much better than it is, but it is
Right,
your.
no, it's there's the potential to make this funny. I mean, that's the thing too for me with Joker comedies. It always just falls a note or two short from being optimally funny.
Oh, I forgot to mention in the news section, pertinent to your prior interests, AEW has signed Melissa Santos, Chris,
Nice.
because we need another backstage interview.
I mean, okay, so alternative usage of her. You make her Cage's manager and you give Cage
Please,
manager. And
please
that would at least make him a more complete act.
let her manage the gates of agony, the cage of agony, whatever they want to call that threesome, as opposed to just being a straight up, you know, Dasha bot back there. How do you feel about this? You know, that kind of stuff. I would like to see that side of her, to be honest with you. I think that could be interesting. You kind of make her into God, what was the name of the she had a Russian name in Lucha Underground.
Oh, not Lana.
No, I want to say like Cat Cat
Oh, Katrina.
Katrina. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
make her kind of like that.
Uh,
I could get behind that a little bit. But it's your turn. I have talked enough.
I'm a little anti the American Championship belt thing just because I think he's gonna probably lose it to or like I think Osprey wins his back in the UK. I so then what Osprey switched it back to the international title.
Yeah, the one part that failed for me on that is the work, you know, the workhorse thing because it's again breaking fourth wall type stuff. I don't like that thing. Oh, you guys like your work rate? Well, I'm not a work rate guy.
Also
No,
the spinner belt quality of the All American belt just bothers me. I don't know.
yeah, it's a little Stanford esque
Yeah,
if you want to put it that way.
yeah, it's a bit gimmicky. Now to Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was a very entertaining show to me
I would
from
agree.
top to bottom. I all the Judgment Day segments are great. Everybody is doing something. For me, the standout again this week in the Judgment Day has to be Carlito with the scene with Rhea where he is echoing Rhea mindlessly, and then the second she leaves, he starts echoing Finn and JD McDonough mindlessly. Carlito is so darn funny.
And he's doing nothing, and it's great. That's the best part of this is he's just being him and doing that. Uh, I look. I think I have somebody in my DMs who's like, I can't believe what they're doing with this Rhea Liv story and how it not do. I go, dude, Liv is going to be the most over heel in this company when Dom sides with her. And you got to realize that they are playing this to the hilt. And that end segment was perfect.
Oh, it was
It
great.
is such a swerve, and it's such an obvious swerve to the point where you almost believe that Liv feels bad. You almost believe it, but you don't. It's gonna be she cut one of the promos of her life on Monday night about what guys like her as temptress seductress is really good for this kind of wrestling acting type of thing. I
No,
agree
and
with
they are. I continue to say this. I'll maintain it. They're just an all-time great faction here, and they're just adding more to their lore. At this main event with Sammy and Jay Uso finally reunited, so we got the feel-good feels on the babyface team of two guys who are buds and who have been up and down the roads and had their ups and downs and back together. And then the Judgment Day with McDonough and Finn Balor. Like that was a great match. That was
yeah.
a really entertaining match, and I just Judgment Day I think are very very entertaining.
And good and we have to mention Gunther and Damien doing the
Right?
Peter Griffin and the chicken thing.
Yes. No, I really enjoy Damian Priest is just super gotten to by Gunther here. I actually what I want is for this to end with Liv Morgan and Gunther as the hated heel couple,
Oh,
and
okay.
that starts a feud between Priest and Rhea.
Hmm.
Rhea drops Dom because she is ultimately interested in Jey Uso.
See, I kind of want to see Dom, and they're not going to, because WWE never quite gets there. They sometimes do by accident, but getting Dom to then, once he leaves Judgment Day, show that he does have actual evil leadership qualities to him, and maybe just building his own faction outside of the Judgment Day, or being the leader of the Judgment Day with McDonough and Finn just going. Again, this seems to be a theme because I wanted this for Jack Perry too, but like Dom becomes the lieutenant that is, he becomes the rock figure in the nation, the guy who's going to take over, and everybody knows he's going to take over, and they can't stop it either. Where Finn is just kind of becomes his simp for a while.
I don't know that he can do that.
I don't think so either.
In my head, a more viable path for Dom is that he goes from having two women's attention who are way outside of his weight class to having no women's attention, and now we have depressed Dom, and the Judgment Day has to try to cheer him up and like get him to not be a mopey sad guy during
Angry incel Dom coming
yeah,
in.
he's too online and he's posting too much and like posting song lyrics and or videos that he's been finding on YouTube.
He makes another VHS. He overdubs like the Wyatt Six video. That's what brings them over. Start with that Nikki Cross video. That thing was terrible.
Tries to make a Wyatt 6 video and the Wyatts reject his application because he's not actually sad. He doesn't have real problems.
You're making a mockery of my brother's death.
Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan have to break it to him that he doesn't have real problems.
You're a Nepo baby. What are you doing? Well, wait a sec. You are too, Bo. Shut up.
I have real grief. You don't.
Yes. My brother died. Yeah, well, my father's a deadbeat. No, he's not.
He's not. Well, yeah, I was dating two girls and now I'm not. Okay.
I had two chicks at the same time and now I have zero.
Now I don't. What if I never have two chicks again?
God. Oh. Yes, emo Dom would be something.
Yeah, dumped Dom is where I'm here for.
Like a lot of like over the top guy liner. Can we get the rights to some Smith songs? Some Morrissey, something?
So you guys sure none of you are having a mixed tag match tonight? Okay. No, it's all right. Just let me know if you are.
Yeah. Hey, can I get booked in the women's division this week, please? I just want to feel the touch of a woman. Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah. Anything else on Raw that you want to go into?
Anything else on Raw? I'm trying to think if there's any other big. We already talked about Dragunov and Breaker.
We did.
Really, really good match.
Gable Howdy doing anything for you?
Gable Howdy. No, I think the problem with Gable is we're still doing too many different things with Gable.
He's unsympathetic. Why should I care if the Wyatt Six is coming after him?
Right, and I guess that makes the Wyatt Six faces, but then I continue to have the problem of why have the Creed sidled into all of this if they're just here to lose.
Yeah. No, I agree there too. I didn't care for that at all.
And then my last note, I mean, this is low stakes, but I was like, what the hell is going on here? The Zelina Vega versus Zoe Stark match was terribly formatted, was extremely stupid, and everything about it was dumb as hell. So Zoe Stark should have just been targeting the arm from the onset, which she did eventually during this match. But then Zelina Vega wins by hitting Zoe Stark with a loaded arm brace. So what does that mean? Like, what is that finish? How is it supposed to make me feel?
I am absolutely flabbergasted that they're beating anybody in a new stable that they're trying to build up, and especially to Zelina Vega, who has limited credibility to me. She's big in front of Puerto Rican audiences, don't get me wrong. She's a scrappy underdog, but she's an underdog you can beat. And Zoe Stark needs help now. It's one of those things where it's like you're trying to establish these three as a badass, butt kicking team, and you've done pretty well with Sonya Deville and reestablishing her, but now you're just deciding, okay, we're going to beat Zoe on this team. And you're just basically telling the audience, you don't need to care about Zoe Stark because she's always going to take the losses on this team. And
Yeah, and this is such a dumb loss too for her to
it
take.
was.
If, the arm brace to the face for a heel is not how they should be losing ever. Right? The only way this makes any sense at all is if we are writing Zelina Vega off next week and we're doing a big beatdown angle, some comeuppance where we finally just break her arm entirely.
And unless you team her with like a returning Tegan Knox who is wearing the leg braces and continue to do Shining Wizards with them, and they become this babyface team that's really cheating, and all the heels are getting mad at them for cheating. But the powers that be go, no, like Dusty Rhodes in the loaded boot. They go, no, he's been cleared by a doctor to use these types of things. That's the only way this kind of thing works. Otherwise, you're getting hit with an arm brace. Of course, you're going to lose. Yeah, I didn't care for this at all. Anything else on any other show that you'd like to bring up before we get to the Vader Club?
No, I think it's time for Vader Club.
Chris has given me 2 matches because he gave me one at the last minute. Son of a b. But they both. But no, it was fine. No. But this is one of Chris's sweet spots. Kanyon, circa 1998. The floor is yours, sir.
Especially as the discourse focuses in on work rate, there's an implication and definition that is implied there that involves high flying as sort of what you would define as work rate. And to me, the kind of contrast on that is a guy like Chris Kanyon, whose version of work rate is he just has an incredible and innovative arsenal of maneuvers that you can actually hear in both of these matches. Commentary finds themselves at a loss to figure out how to describe some of the moves that are being done in the Kanyon and Saturn match in particular here.
And now they're kind of rote, to be honest with you. It's amazing to watch the evolution of this, but please continue. Sorry.
Right. So like in revisiting Kanyon, though he never has a singular great match, you are just sort of stunned by the array of offense that he pulls out in all sorts of basic matches. I watched another one. I didn't send you this. I watched Hennig versus Mortis, which was actually a pretty entertaining little match here. Hennig throws a really gnarly dropkick during that match. It's actually a fun little match, though.
Kurt Hennig has a very nice dropkick.
He does. And that was a lot of fun. Even late era Kurt Hennig still had a really nice drop kick.
So tell the people the 2 matches that you gave me.
So we watched one of Barry Saturn's first matches in WCW as well. This was the Great American Bash 1998. This is Kanyon versus Saturn. And then the other match we watched was a match between Booker T and Mortis, which it was a television title match.
January 1998 as well.
January 1998 as well. Just a television title match at this point. Kanyon's definitely starting to get over for his work, but he's still Mortis, and the Mortis gimmick is still kind of around because in part because Glacier, Wrath, and Mortis were extremely popular video game characters on the WCW versus NWO World Tour and Revenge. That actually kept Glacier around for a minute longer than he should have been too. He was popular on World Tour and also popular on Revenge. In the Booker T match, Kanyon takes an insane power bomb.
Yes, that's on my notes. That's on my notes on here. Yeah, he gets folded up like an accordion, lands on his head, and I think he actually knocks himself loopy on that if you watch the
Yeah.
aftermath of that. I liked the matches. I liked the Mortis gimmick a lot more than Kanyon. I do. I really liked the whole look, the green, black, and the skull mask and things. I didn't
Good
like.
looking look, right?
I don't like Jim Mitchell all that much because he goes a little bit too hard in the satanic stuff, too often for me. But I liked the Mortis look. I always did. Um, I actually really liked both opponents quite a bit in these matches for different reasons. Saturn Saturn's fascinating to me. In so many ways, because I watched him from his debut in the Eliminators in ECW through most of it, and to me, he is number one. He's had some issues mentally, which I feel very bad about because of I think probably because of all the shots to the head he took. I mean, he's ex-army. He does amazing things for a guy who's kind of short and stout. And the thing in his match with Kanyon here, he did that Sabu triple jump moonsault better than Sabu ever did it in any company that he did with the chair, to the point where even it's funny because like both Tony and Bobby go, well, we've never seen anything like that before, when Sabu was in the company at least for a cup of coffee. Before that, I think before 98, I think at some point in like 96 or 97, he did a couple weeks before he got fired there. Tony is on his game, especially in the Booker T match. Bobby has kind of checked out in the he's already started to check out a little bit in the Kanyon Saturn match.
He got out of the NWO run in the.
Yeah.
He was in the NWO.
And then but Booker in the Kanyon match. This is
Booker.
Oh, Booker T is amazing in a lot of ways that we don't give him credit for, because again, he's a guy I had seen since his debut as in the Ebony Experience in the old Global Federation. And you know, he's sneaky tall and sneaky big, but he always seemed like the small guy on Harlem Heat in that combination. And this is when Booker T decided he was going to be a work rate guy. And this is like before the Benoit thing, and he's not doing the spinneroonie at the given WWE pattern time. And I always loved that leg kick of his. It's always been good. The Harlem Hangover was always a great move. But yeah, if you go watch this match, watch this top rope power bomb and watch how Kanyon takes it, and you fear for his life. I mean,
he's gone for the rest of the match. Like he is,
yes,
he's a complete non-factor, and I think Booker T ends up going home a little bit sooner than he maybe would have.
Yeah, and I hate the ending of the Saturn match. I really do. I mean,
oh my god,
multiple Mortises, and Raven's one of them. And Raven, like the Raven character worked in WCW.
Who's the other Mortis? I never figured that out.
I thought it was Sick Boy, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I don't remember. I gotta be honest with you. I don't remember. It was somebody who was like a non-factor for the most part.
But that's a classic WCW later era match, in that there's a very good amount of work in there, buttressed by a bunch of stupid story stuff on either side. Even the initial intro of him coming, having like the Mortis fake out, I liked that. That was fine.
I liked it, and then
everything
we
else,
got into the Raven mythos, and the Raven mythos was good at the beginning, and then they just kept adding people like they were the old Dudley family in the ECW. We had Lodi and Lenny, and we had Kidman, and we had Riggs now at this point, and I liked the original one where it was like Sick Boy and Van Hammer, who sucked.
Well, no, but it was Riggs who he got the eye patch on.
Yes.
Like he basically broke Riggs. And I mean, even though Scotty Riggs is not like an amazing wrestler, at least that's a quality origin story. Kidman, he got him all, Kidman got all depressed or whatever, and he basically psychologically broke him. I don't know how I feel about Junkie Kidman with the 7-year itch.
Yeah, I didn't care for that much. But Raven as a character was very, very interesting at this stage. This is before he did the second WCW run where he just had checked out completely. The other weird note I have on here for you is Rick Martel makes the save in the Booker T match because Wrath comes out, but Wrath is now unmasked and he's basically Brian Adams. People forget how good of a babyface Rick Martel actually was because he did the short run with Can-Am Connection in WWF, but he was the world champion in the AWA. He was their babyface champion for a while, and he was, he was the high flyer type. But he's most known for like the model and being the snarky, sarcastic, and he was very good at it. But he was an awesome, awesome babyface when he was younger, and there was that hint of it before he went back to being the old Rick Martel. But here that was where he was kind of making a deal to get a pay-per-view match at, I think Sold Out was that Saturday.
And he turn heel then?
I think he does. I think they just decided to just go full heel with him, which is unfortunate because so very happy now as a real estate salesman in Canada. By the way, looks nothing. Doesn't have any hair anymore. It's he looks like night and day, but he still like speaks highly of the business. But he's also
it's funny when he wears the button that says "Yes, I am a model." It has a different flavor now.
Yeah, but he's also very well adjusted in terms of being out of the wrestling business. So I'm always happy for him and Tito Santana. I'm always happy hearing about those guys. Tito just retired from teaching, I think, but. Yeah, that will do it for Vader Club and Shake Them Ropes. Next week, I think I'm going into some All Japan tag action. Kind of in the mood for it, so I'll let people know either on Twitter or during the show next week, and I'll let Chris know so he can watch and prepare. But this has been Shake Them Ropes. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on X. You can follow Chris at DOCTOR_NOV. We are part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. I am also part of Fight Game Media. I did... on Figure 4, I did the Fight Game podcast last week with Garrett Gonzalez. A lot of fun doing that one. I got some compliments for once. That was actually nice. But I also do the Dynamite show with Paul Fontaine on there. 20 minutes after Dynamite ends, he and I go live on YouTube. It drops in your podcatchers the next day. Thorough deconstruction of all things Dynamite on that Wednesday night. Chris teaches guitar. He'd like to teach you guitar or bass or drums or the harp.
Yeah,
Maybe.
well, I mean, probably the guitar specifically. I'm actually working on like a mechanic and method theory thing. I have what is called the 32 Essential Guitar Mechanics. I've actually gone through and worked out the different patterns on the guitar and all of the actual primary like two-string patterns. And you can, through like refining them and getting better at them, basically master any mechanical motion that you might potentially make on the guitar, all the basic ones. Any intermediate ones will be very easy to add into the hopper here, but this sort of assemblage of mechanics will actually teach you all of the basic motions you need to know on the guitar in order to be fast and mechanically sound.
Shout out to Randy Bachman. We'll see you next week.